When Yosef was falsely accused and thrown into the prison, Yahweh was with Yosef and showed kindness to him and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Yosef's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because Yahweh was with him, and that which he did, Yahweh made it to prosper. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 40. And it was after these things that the butler of the king of Mithraim and his baker offended their lord, the king of Mithraim. And Pharaoh was wroth against his two officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Yosef was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Yosef with them, and he served to them, and they continued a season in ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Mithraim, who were bound in the prison. And Yosef came into them in the morning, and saw them, and behold them, ones fretting. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in ward in his master's house, saying, For what reason are your faces miserable today? And they said to him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And Yosef said to them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell it me, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Yosef, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and its blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Yosef said to him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within yet 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head, and restore thee to thy office, and thou shalt give Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou wast his butler. But have me in thy remembrance when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, to me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Abrim, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said to Yosef, I also was in my dream, and behold, 3 baskets of white bread were on my head, and in the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked food for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Yosef answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within yet 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it was the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast to all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and the head of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler to his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Parao's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Yosef had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Yosef, but forgot him. But it was at the end of 2 full years that Parao dreamed.